guys, it is time to talk about the books that I read in November. So let's start with some stats. I read a total of 7 books. 3 of those were actually on my November TBR. I had 2 DNFs this month, unfortunately, and I also read a total of 1,841 pages. 5 physical books, 2 audiobooks. 3 of those were romance, 2 were fantasy, 1 was a historical fiction, and 1 was a literary fiction. And my average star rating for the month was a 3.6. The first book I read this month was A Lady's Guide to Mischief and Mayhem by Amanda Collins. This is an enemies to lovers romance, a murder/romance. I rated this a 3.25 star. The writing is very simplistic, it's very easy to read, and very fast-paced. Honestly, this felt like a murder mystery with a subplot of romance because we focused so much time on the actual mystery and the murders that was taking place that I feel like the romance just kind of took a back seat. This was really cute though, and I do like that the romance was kind of a slow burn, but I also feel like there wasn't enough build-up between the 2 main characters. They didn't have enough time together to really build that romantic tension. We follow Catherine and Andrew. Catherine is a newspaper columnist who finds herself the subject of speculation when one of her articles leads to an arrest in the murders plaguing London. To escape her sudden notoriety, she decides she is going to go to the countryside and just kind of chill, veg out, relax, get away from all of the riffraff, only to stumble upon a murder on her arrival. Andrew is a detective inspector who was directly affected by her article by getting nearly kicked off the police force. And he is appalled when he finds out that Lady Catherine has entangled herself in one of his cases yet again. Yet her questions are awfully insightful, and he can't deny his attraction to her beauty and her brains. As the clues point to a dangerous criminal, the 2 realize their best option is working together. But with their focus on the killer lurking in the shadows, neither is prepared for the other risk the case poses to them and their hearts. The next book I read in the month of November was A Man Called Ove by Frederick Backman. I actually DNF'd this. I don't remember how far I got into it. I got pretty far. But I could feel a book slump coming on, and I just didn't want to force myself to read something that I honestly was not enjoying. I was not enjoying this at all, and unfortunately, I feel bad because this book is very popular. It just wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. I didn't care about Ove. I didn't care about what was going on. Not for me. So basically we follow Ove. He's the grumpiest old man, and he gets these new neighbors, and things just start happening. He's just not happy. So things just start happening with the new neighbors, and they need help and all of this stuff. So we follow him as basically day to day. And we get like 2 timelines. We get the past and the present. In the past, we learn about Ove as a young man and how he grew up and how he met his wife and all of that stuff. And then in the present, we follow him being grumpy. So that's that. Like I said, I DNF'd it, didn't love it. Yeah. The next book I read was actually an audiobook, and that is Does It Hurt by H.D. Carlton. I also DNF'd this. I did not love it. There were certain parts about it that were disturbing, and I don't know how to describe. I just couldn't get behind our main character and our love interest. Our FMC has lived a tough life, and I liked her as a character, but I just couldn't get behind the romance because of the things that our MMC was doing to our FMC. It was just not for me. I didn't enjoy it. I don't really know what the plot of it is, to be honest. There was just so much smut, and all smut, little plot. Not for me. I don't mind smut in books. I like a little, spice in books, but I don't like where the spice takes over the plot. That's not for me. I read for the plot. I don't read for smut. I just don't. No. So if you guys want to know what this is about, you're going to have to look it up, because honestly, I don't know. I do not know. What I do know, I feel like if I told you, it would be spoilers, and I don't want to spoil it, so that's that. The next book I read was To Kill a Shadow by Catherine Quinn. I finally read this. This has been on so many TBRs, and I finally read it. I told y'all in my November TBR video that I was going to make this a priority, and I definitely did, and I read it, and I really enjoyed it. I rated this a 3.5 star. I loved it, and I'm definitely going to continue the series. I think it's a duology, trilogy, not sure. So this is a fantasy, well, it's a romantasy, commander recruit type of situation, forced proximity. I did have a complaint though, and that is that we're told that Jude is this big bad dude, but we aren't shown. I just wish there was a little more development with that. I wish we dove more into his character than we did. We focused more on Kiara, and which is fine. It's whatever, but for it to be dual POV, I wish that we would have gotten more development on Jude's side, because we got a lot of development on Kiara's side. We really got to know her as a character, but I feel like we didn't really get to know Jude as a character that deeply, you know what I mean? But it was a really fun read. I loved it. I do recommend. Yeah, it was fun. I had no idea how it was gonna end. The twist, I didn't like the twist, but it is what it is. I did enjoy it though. So we followed Jude and Kiara. Jude becomes Kiara's commander, so we basically followed them as Kiara trains to become a knight. With a kingdom on the verge of collapse, the knights must now venture into the darkest heart of the land and uncover the secrets of the misted shadows, where evil will prey upon their minds and feast on their flesh. So we follow them as they're sent into the misted woods and try to find these keys that the king wants to kind of break the curse and get rid of the mist. And so when they get into the mist, it's very dangerous. The mist makes people go crazy, makes people see things and hallucinate and just kind of become their own worst enemy basically. And so they have to fight with that while also trying to find these keys that are hidden. It was a fun read, and I did enjoy it. So the next book I read was Did You Hear About Kitty Carr by Crystal Smith Paul. Also, I finally read this. This has also been on so many TBRs and been on my TBR since last year. I finally read it. I actually read this in a video that is not out yet, so I'm not gonna give my in-depth thoughts, because you will see them in that video. Hopefully that'll be up soon. But I rated this a 3.75 star. I really enjoyed it. We have multiple POVs. We have dual timelines. It was fun and also heavy. That's all I'm gonna say. When Kitty Carr Tate, a silver white icon, dies and gives her multi-million-dollar estate to the St. John sisters, 3 young, wealthy black women, that it prompts questions. Celebrity in her own right, Elise St. John would rather focus on sorting out Kitty's affairs than deal with the press. But what she discovers in One of Kitty's journals rocks her world harder than any other brewing scandal could, and between a cheating fiancé and the fallout from a controversial social media post, there are plenty. The truth behind Kitty's ascent to stardom from her beginnings in the segregated South threatens to expose a web of unexpected family ties, debts owed, and debatable crimes that could, with one pull, unravel the all-American fabric of the St. John sisters and those closest to them. As Elise digs deeper into Kitty's past, she must also turn the lens upon herself, confronting the gifts and burdens of her own choices and the power that the secrets of the dead hold over the living. This was nothing like I expected, I will say that. But stay tuned to see this in that video. The next book I read was actually via audiobook, and that was Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book, y'all, I loved it. This was probably my favorite book that I read this month. It was so good. I rated it a 4.5. This is dual timeline. I really liked the way that it was formatted in the timelines. I hadn't ever read anything quite like this before, and I don't really have many thoughts far as like how I felt. All I know is I really, really enjoyed it. It was really interesting. I found myself wanting to listen to it when I wasn't listening to it, which is a good thing, because me and audiobooks, I only listen to them when I need to do stuff around the house and I have like chores and things like that. That's the only time that I really listen to them, is when I've got things to do around the house. Just pop an audiobook on. But this one I actually wanted to listen to, so I had to find things to do, so I would color, so I could finish it. I just really, really enjoyed it. We follow a young woman whose fate hinges on the choices she makes after bumping into an old flame. In altering chapters, we see two possible scenarios unfold with stunningly different results. At the age of 29, Hannah Martin still has no idea what she wants to do with her life. She has lived in 6 different cities and held countless meaningless jobs since graduating college. On the heels of leaving yet another city, Hannah moves back to her hometown of Los Angeles and takes up residence in her best friend Gabby's guest room. Shortly after getting back in town, Hannah goes out to a bar one night with Gabby and meets up with her high school boyfriend, Ethan. Just after midnight, Gabby asks Hannah if she's ready to go. A moment later, Ethan offers to give her a ride later if she wants to stay. Hannah hesitates. What happens if she leaves with Gabby? What happens if she leaves with Ethan? So basically, we follow each timeline. So we follow where she does leave with Gabby. We followed that timeline, and then we also followed the timeline where she leaves with Ethan. So it was, at first I was a little confused because I didn't realize that it was alternating timelines. So I was like, wait, which one is the actual timeline? But we follow both, and they are very different from each other and have very different results. But it was just so cool to listen to her different choices and what the consequences of those choices were. It was a really, really good book, and I really enjoyed it. The last book I read in the month of November was These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. This one I also read in the same video that I read Did You Hear About Kitty Carr? So I'm not gonna elaborate on my thoughts and feelings, but I rated this a 2.75. This is enemies to lovers, rival families, a fantasy, and it's also Romeo and Juliet retelling. So yeah, we follow Juliet and Roma as they've had a history. Something happened, we don't know, but there's like this blood feud between the two families. It takes place in Shanghai in the year of 1926. So basically, on this part of Shanghai, Juliet's family, Roma's family, runs that side Shanghai, and they're like, you don't cross the line. If you cross the line, people die. And so when people start dying from this strange illness, they're like, what's going on? And there's this monster just like killing people. And yeah, I will say it is very gory. I didn't expect it to be so gory. It's YA. Didn't expect it to be gory, but I liked the fact that it was gory. There wasn't much about this book that I liked, but I did like that. What does that say about me? Okay, guys, that is all the books I read in the month of November. I did not have a good reading month in November as far as quality. Yeah, everything that I picked up, I was struggling with a book slump, and then everything that I picked up I wasn't really enjoying, wasn't really into, and then I started listening to Maybe in Another Life and ate it up. But yeah, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me out so much, and thank you so much for being here with me today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!